Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about weight loss. Surprise, surprise. It's what we talk about 90% of the time. We're going to talk about weight loss and a non-supportive spouse. All right. So often when I'm working with clients, I will have somebody come to me and say, hey Carmen, what do I do? My spouse is not supporting me. My spouse is not supportive of me losing weight. Like, what should I do? And here's what I will say. Most of the time, not all of the time, most of the time, a non-supportive spouse is created through our actions. Not always, but most of the time. I would say 90% of the time, in my personal case, and with all the clients that I've worked with, 90% of the time, a non-supportive spouse is created. Just like a supportive spouse is also created. It's not like, when we get married, every spouse has a desire to support one another. We become more supportive or non-supportive based on the actions of the spouse. So I want to go ahead and run down what I personally did throughout my weight loss journey to create a cheerleader in my corner. All right, because that's what you're going to do through your actions and through my actions. We are either going to create a cheerleader in our corner rooting us on, or a negative Nilly nagging at us. All right, and it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, both sexes can nag. Both sexes can be a negative Nilly, and both sexes can be a cheerleader, supporter, encourager. But ultimately, the biggest thing that's going to determine where your spouse lands on the negative slant or the positive encouragement slant is going to be based on your actions, what you do and how you do it. For the most part, and look, divorce rates are really high among people that lose weight. And part of the reason is because when we're losing weight, we start to get excited about this new thing, right? We start to get excited about this thing that's not our spouse. It's all we want to talk about. It's all we want to think about. It's all whatever. Because when we're excited, have you ever noticed when you're excited about something, you want to talk about it more? Like, none of us ever want to talk about like the scale when we're gaining weight. Like, none of us are like, oh, babe, I got on the scale today and I gained 5 pounds last week. Woo! Like, just not how it works, right? But when we're losing weight, we're excited. We want to talk about it. We want the good job. Oh my gosh, babe, I'm so proud of you. And so when our spouse is not included in that, sometimes they can feel neglected. Sometimes they can feel left out. Like you're excited about something that's not them. And in most marriages, if we're being honest, it's been a hot second since you've been excited about your spouse. The average couple has sex a couple times a month, which is never a good thing. All right, so I'm gonna give you basically and here's the other thing. Most of the time, if we struggle with weight issues, your spouse has seen you spend a lot of time and a lot of money on other diets, fads, shakes, weight loss, workout DVDs that are probably still on the shelf in the wrapper or with dust on them. Workout equipment. Like, I purchased a treadmill at some point, years and years ago, like a decade ago. It was like a Nordic Track, TV on it, $3,000, top of the line, like, what are those things called? Treadmill. A treadmill. And so and I used it like 3 times. So it was basically like $1,000 a use, is what it comes down to. But it looked really pretty. And all my friends were totally impressed with my really nice Nordic Track treadmill with the cutting edge technology and the trainer chip that you put in, and they inclined it and the trainer talked to you and motivated you, and it was so good. I used it 3 times. Anyway, at one point my husband, he didn't tell me this till later. He's like, yeah, I started using it. I was thinking if you saw me using it, you would start using it. No. I just thought you wanted to run. I didn't know you were hoping that I would get the hint. But anyway, so my husband had seen me buy different kinds of shakes, and I'd get them. I'd have 1 or 2, they'd expire and I'd throw them away. Like, my husband watched me buy DVDs that still had the wrapper on them or that were used a couple times and then had dust. He watched me buy different workout equipment. He watched me make all these purchases, invest all this emotional energy and money from our bank account and do nothing with it. And so, needless to say, when I started another thing that required an investment of time and money, like was he wrong to be skeptical? Was he wrong to be like, well, we'll see? No, like I had taught him to watch and see and not listen to what I said, because I had been serious about a buttload of things that I quit before. I would be excited for a hot second, and then I wouldn't lose 50 pounds in a month, and I'd be like, well, there, and I would quit. And so I'm gonna give you a recipe to create that not only worked really well in my own marriage, but that I give this same recipe to my clients, and they use it with their older kids and their spouse, their parents, and it works beautifully. All right. So number one, you have to apologize. All right. I know some of you, I just lost you right there. You're like, I ain't apologizing for nothing. That is a huge mistake. Early, when I was a young adult, I had a real issue with apologizing. I had a real issue with saying like the words I'm wrong or I'm sorry coming out of my mouth. Like even there were times when I knew I should apologize, but I just had an issue saying the words I'm sorry or I was wrong. I've since gotten better at that, a lot better. But like, so the number one is apologizing. I went to my husband and I just said, hey, I know that you've seen me commit to a lot of different weight loss programs before. And I know that you've watched me talk a big game and do nothing. And I know that I've said many times that I was going to lose weight only to gain more. And so I'm starting this new thing. And I completely get that you might be skeptical. I completely get that you might think that I'm not serious. And I completely get that you might be thinking, well, we'll see what you do with it. And so I apologize for the past. I apologize for saying one thing and doing another. And I apologize for wasting our money and doing nothing with it. And when you come to your spouse like that, when you have the growth or the maturity to humble yourself and ask for forgiveness, and nothing I said was untrue. It was a waste. It is a waste of money when you buy something and do nothing with it. You're not a person of your word when you say you're going to do something and then you don't. And so nothing I said was untrue or over the top. It was all true. I just had to muster up the courage and the maturity to be able to admit it to my husband. And when he did that, his eyes, instead of being begrudging, his eyes filled with compassion. And he was like I created an instant supporter. He went from doubtful to supportive. And I can remember he was like, babe, no, you don't have to apologize. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm so excited you're doing this. Like, it just completely built a connection between us versus having this weight loss thing be a division. It 100% got him on board and behind me versus combating me. So the next thing I did is I told him my plan. Because how can he support something that he doesn't even know what I'm doing? And so I said, hey, I'm going to do these workouts 6 days a week. If you want to do it with me, you totally can. Here's when I'm starting. I'm going to be tracking my nutrition on this app that we heard about from one of our friends, a mutual friend. He had actually used it before I ever did. He told me about it as well. Hey, I'm going to be using that app that you told me about. I'm going to be tracking my nutrition. If you want to do any of this with me, that's great. If you don't want to, that's fine too. So I invited him to do it with me, so it wouldn't just be my thing that he's excluded from. But I gave him a way out of, you don't have to do it with me, and that's okay. I would love if you did, but I'm not upset if you don't. This is my decision, and I don't expect it to be yours just because I'm deciding to lose weight. And my husband never had a lot of weight to lose. His heaviest, he got up to a size 34 pants. Now for him, he gains all of his weight in his gut. But he's never been a big guy. Like, he was never, ever in the realm of where I was. So I apologized. I told him my plan. Third, I asked him for support and encouragement. And so in that, when I said, look, I don't expect you to join me or to do what I'm doing, but what I am going to ask is that you would encourage me along the way. If you see that I've done something good, just to tell me, because there's going to be days that I know I'm going to want to quit. And if you just say, hey, you're doing really good, I know that's going to mean a lot. What I'm also going to ask is that you don't bring me home any snacks. If you're out at the store and you see a Charleston Chew, oh, they're so good, that you would not get it for me. Because I am gonna want it, but it doesn't line up with my goals. I'm gonna ask that if you want Taco Bell, that you go to Taco Bell and you get it. And don't bring me any home. I don't care if you know that I love a chalupa. No chalupa. I don't care if you know that I want a gordita wrap crunch. No. Like, please do not bring it to me. I don't want to have to throw it away and waste our money, or I don't want to be tempted to eat something that I want to eat, but that doesn't line up with my goal. So please do not bring me home any food treats of any kind. If you want to give me flowers, you want to give me some new workout shoes, you want to give me $50 and say, hey, go buy something, I'll receive all those things. But don't give me food. Please don't give me food. And he was like, don't bring me home a Dr. Pepper. None of that. And so, he was like, okay, why? Because like, he sometimes would think of me and be super caring and like, be like, oh, I saw this, I'll get it for Carmen. I know this is her favorite candy bar. Well, in the beginning, I didn't have the willpower. I didn't have the strength if he brought it to me to be like, no, I'm not eating that. So I would eat it and then get mad at him because he brought it for me. Like, and it was so, like, he was doing it from a sweet, caring heart. And in my mind, I'm like, he should know. Like, he should just know that I'm losing weight and not to bring me this crap. But he wasn't the one doing it. So he didn't think about it the way I did. You know what I'm saying? And so I never put the blame on myself. It was always his fault because he brought it home and he should know better. Never mind, I'm the one that opened my pie hole and shoved it in it and ate the whole freaking thing. Like, I didn't have to eat it. I could have thrown it away. I could have given it to a neighbor or a friend or a niece or nephew or whoever. I'd have to shove it down my throat, but I did. So no, it was my fault. But asking him from the beginning to not do that, communicating versus expecting him to be a mind reader, oh my gosh, it was absolutely huge. And so my husband, he did end up, let me say, he did end up joining me working out the first 90 days and then he stopped. So I'll talk about that here in just a second. All right, number 4, don't expect your spouse to make the same decisions you are. If you're saying no to fast food, you can't expect, again, this is your choice. You are losing weight for you. And if you're trying to lose weight for your spouse, you're never gonna do it. If you're doing it for anybody else but you, there can be other reasons. Like the reason that for me, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back was my kids. It was not wanting to set that example. But I had to realize that I wasn't even doing it for them. Like, they were a reason, but I had to do this for me. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing it for anybody else, you'll eventually quit and it won't be long lasting. You got to get to the point where you're like, no, I deserve this. Like, I deserve to be the best me. I deserve to be healthy. Like, I deserve to make the investment of time into working out, or my body deserves me to put good food into it. Again, it's okay that there's other side reasons or side influences or motivations. Like, my kids were definitely a motivation. But if I would have been doing this for my husband, I would have quit as soon as he pissed me off. And so I never expected him to make the same decisions I did. My husband loves food. Like, it's like a love language to him. It's really funny. Like, he has fourth meal back then every single night. He would come up from work. We both work from home. He would come up from work from his office and he would have like a table or a plate full of food. I'm sitting on the couch with my water. Well, I can't look at him and be like, psh, don't you know I'm losing weight? Like, why do you have to eat that in front of me? Like, why? Why? And I had my moments where I would sit there and I would like hear him chewing his freaking potato chips. And I would just be like, freaking really? And then I would have to tell myself, Carmen, get a grip, you psycho. Get a grip. Like, why are you mad at him for eating a potato chip? He's not morbidly obese. You are. And even if he was, that's his choice. His choice. You nagging him and being pissed at him is not going to make him support you, and it's certainly not going to make him jump on the bandwagon, ever. So don't expect him to lose weight or make the same decisions you are because you're making them. Don't nag your spouse if they're overweight. Oh my goodness. That is like a guaranteed way to create a non-supporter. Is if you're like, hey, so like, let's just say you start losing weight, right? And all of a sudden they're not. Your spouse is overweight too. And most of the time, if one is overweight, the other one has a little bit of a weight issue. Not always, but a lot of the times. And so, because you're eating a lot of the same foods, you can't be like, hey, I noticed that gut's not getting any smaller. Do you think you want to maybe work out with me? Or all of a sudden you become the food police and you're like, are you sure you want to be eating that? Like, the only times I ever give my husband an opinion on what he's eating is when he asks for help. And this is what I do for a living. I help people lose weight, get fit for a living. This is my chosen profession. And like, I never tell him a thing unless he says, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds. Will you help me? And then I'll say, okay, sure. But as soon as I try to help him and he doesn't want it, I stop. Why? Because it's not worth causing contention in my marriage. My husband loved me at morbidly obese. He married me at 288 pounds. Who the frick am I to judge him or give him weight loss advice? Because when I was 288 pounds, he never said, hey, Fluffy, hey, you think you should eat that cheeseburger? You think you should have a second slice of pie? Like, he never said that. He never belittled me. He never did any of that. He never laughed at me. He never ever made fun of me. And like, even if your spouse has, let's just say you're sitting there thinking, well, Carmen, my spouse has done that. This is where you now get a chance to give grace and to sow good seed, to do unto them as you would want them to do unto you. It's not the time for you to play gotcha and say, well, I'm going to do this because he did it to me. No. That's not going to cause restoration. That's not going to get you to your goal. That's just going to only create stress and emotions, which are going to make you want to eat more. And so don't expect him or her to do what you're doing, or don't nag them if they're overweight. And don't get mad if they, Don't get mad if they're eating a cheeseburger in front of you. Don't get mad if you go to the theater and they get a large bucket of popcorn. Like, I can remember this one time going to the theater to see a movie, and my husband got like the popcorn with the butter and the soda, like the extra butter. And I had taken a protein bar in my water into the theater. And I'm over there eating my little protein bar. He's got his big bucket of popcorn. And he, like, several times during the movie, he's like, want some? And I'm like in my mind, I'm like, yes, I want some, but no, I don't freaking want any. Keep your popcorn on your side of the seat. But then I'd be like, Carmen, get a grip. This is your issue, not his. He's just trying to be nice. Like, it really was like Jekyll and Hyde inside of my mind sometimes. I'd be like, no, thanks. Got my protein bar, got my water. I'm good. And after a while, I would start telling myself, I'm like, it's good. You're going to get on the scale tomorrow morning, and that scale is going to be up. I'm going to get on the scale tomorrow morning, and the scale is going to be down. Why? Because the number on the scale is a direct reflection of our decisions. And right now, I'm making a good decision, and I'm saying, to the popcorn. Are you with me? And so, I couldn't be mad at him for eating a cheeseburger or popcorn in front of me. I couldn't get mad at him if he didn't notice that I lost 5 pounds. I couldn't get mad at him if he didn't notice my new size 10 jeans, or my new size 8 jeans, or my size small shirt that I was so proud of. Like, no, I couldn't get mad at him. I know I can show him, because in the past I would have been like, oh, he didn't even notice. And I would have started like being all quiet, walking around, and he would have been like, what's wrong? I would have been like, nothing. Well, I've lost 10 pounds and you haven't even said anything. That's what the old me in our old crappy marriage when we were knocking on divorce's doorstep would have done. And it would have created a whole big thing. Today, if I want him to notice something that he hasn't, I'll say, hey babe, dude, I'm so excited. These are a size 10 jeans. Because that's really how I was when I fit into a size 10 jeans for the first time. I can remember, like, I have photos saved in a folder, like, size 10. I would go to the dressing room, I would try them on, I would take photos, like make sure the tag was on my leg, size 8, size 6, size 4. The first time I ever put on a size 4 pair of jeans, I was like, oh my gosh. It was like the heavens opened up and hallelujah. It was like one of those moments for me. Anyway, so don't get mad if they don't notice how good your butt looks. Don't get mad if they don't notice that you have a new size. You getting mad, now you can have a conversation and say, hey, you know, it really bothered me. I've lost 10 pounds and you haven't noticed. And I thought you would, and I'm so excited, but I don't want to say nothing and you haven't said anything. Like when you come to them like that, again, that's getting you to them side. Now they're like, oh, babe, I'm so sorry. I didn't notice or I didn't say anything. Versus you being mad is only going to provoke madness or defensiveness. And look, I can only talk about this because like we went through hell the first year of our marriage. We got a lot of coaching, a lot of counseling. And today we have a marriage that I didn't even know like people had. Like I didn't even know you could be married to your best friend. I didn't know that they could be your most favorite person on the planet. I didn't know that you could actually walk around throughout the day and want to have sex versus hoping they don't ask. Like I didn't even know like that kind of marriage existed. So like, look, I lived this thing out with my husband and I tried it both ways. And I can tell you the way that I just talked about works so well. And at the end of your weight loss journey, at the end of you getting to your goal, you're going to be closer with your spouse than you versus if you do it the other way and you get pissed about everything and you're nagging and you're expecting them to make the same decisions you're going to make, they're going to end up resenting the weight loss. They're going to end up wishing you never lost weight in the first place. You're going to end up thinking they're a non-supportive jerk and there's going to be division between you. You get to decide at the end of your weight loss whether your marriage or your relationship is closer or further apart. You get to determine by your actions and by my actions whether you have a supportive spouse or a negative spouse. And look, when I was going through crap in my marriage, like there was a time it didn't matter what I did. My husband was just a jerk, and that's no matter. I could cook him dinner and he'd be like, why are you making me dinner? Because I'm your wife and it's what I'm going to do. That's why. And so like all you can control is you. And at the end of the day, if you just make a decision of what you're going to do, eventually they will come around. And so anyway, yeah, that's how to create. That's a blueprint for creating a supportive spouse throughout weight loss versus a nag. So thank you so much for watching. If you have not given the video a thumbs up, please do. It helps the algorithm. It helps us reach more people with our weight loss message. If you have not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Make sure to ring the bell. That way you get notified when we go live on Tuesdays and when we upload tips throughout the week. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next one.